Welcome back to the Catch Podcast, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about Christianity against the current hold of your perception. And in today's episode, John will be spearheading us.
All right, in today's episode, we were talking about perception. Which is better, freedom versus wisdom? So my first question to you guys would be, was there ever a time or a situation where you guys mistook the situation for what it was and you tried to use wisdom or you couldn't use wisdom in your freedom?
Could you repeat the question?
So here, I'll make it a little simpler. Mm-hmm. So were you ever in a situation where you were free to do whatever you wanted, and did you use wisdom, or what would happen, the lack thereof, if you didn't use wisdom?
Well, I can answer this question. So yes, there has been a time where I was given, it wasn't even really freedom, but it was more so just the lack of like I don't want to say bondage, but it was like
authority?
It was the lack of authority. I wouldn't even say it was freedom.
Yeah.
It was literally just the lack of authority. And I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is so wise of me to do. It was more so I was like, who really cares? Like, I'm just going to live my life. And that was a mistake. So I can definitely say that I've seen, when it comes to my own perception of what I think is freedom, in that time I did not use clear wisdom. So
this is a great, very political answer without giving
without airing myself out. I didn't want to air myself out. But.
Yeah, because most of the things we get ourselves into when we do have the freedom and we don't exercise wisdom are just stuff that it's just dumb. You know,
right.
You after the situation, you're just like, wow,
That was a little dumb.
That was a little stupid.
Yeah.
I would pretty much agree with Vinny. You just go through situations, even just through, you're just immature and you just, hey, I got the opportunity, I'm going to take it. And it's just like, no, you really should have exercised wisdom. The word wisdom is actually found only twice in the Bible. It's once in the Old Testament, once in the New Testament. So it's in Leviticus and also in Acts.
Leviticus, the book of rules.
The book of rules. Here we go. But yeah, really quick, I'm going to read the definition of freedom from Webster. It is a state of exemption from the power or control of another. So technically,
Yeah.
What's the second definition?
Liberty, exemption from slavery, servitude, or confinement. Freedom is personal, civil, political, and religious.
He said, what's the second definition?
Oh, particular privileges, franchise, immunity as the freedom of a city. There are actually a lot of definitions here. Exemption from fate, necessity, or any constraint in consequence. Ooh.
Oh, that's good.
That's really,
I like that.
That's the one that's what we want to drive home for this episode. Yeah.
I can't really think of a situation right now.
Oh, you were just a perfect child, weren't you?
Just doing your thing.
I mean, I could relate to, you go through certain situations where, like Vin was saying, like, you don't have that authority around you as usual. And then when you normally start to do things, you start to be like, okay, responsibilities,
right.
Okay. But then when you get into it, it's like, oh, why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. So it's like, it's really a humbling lesson, honestly. So, yeah.
Yeah, you awake over there, guy?
What'd you say?
You awake over there?
Yes. I was thinking. I would say for me, wisdom, in terms of freedom, like, I think wisdom is allowing yourself to have some type of confinement or some type of accountability, even though you have freedom. That's just
right.
That's just what I think it is. Like, limit yourself, because freedom, like our lady talks about this all the time. The more freedom people have, the more people mess it up. Like freedom, in and of itself, is subject to some type of bondage if you mess it up. Like if you have freedom to do whatever you want, you slap somebody, it's assault, you're going to jail, right?
Right.
Now you're confined.
Absolutely.
So it's like you have to give yourself some limitation in your freedom in order for it to work out.
See, that's the thing. Like, the Bible says, you call the old, you call the young because they're strong. You call the old because they know the way. Not to say young people don't have freedom, but it's not to say young people don't have wisdom, but it's experience. With experience comes wisdom. Mm-hmm. You know, when you've lived a little more life, it's like, okay, let me like put this into somebody, because like Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, a lot of situations you go through, somebody has gone through it,
right?
And it's like out of those not even somebody, multiple people have gone through it. But out of almost multiple people, somebody came out on top by His great grace and mercy. So it's like you really just gotta look back and be thankful for the older generation, because you know they really are there to be a help. I mean, it's not always brick and mortar, do what I say, not as I do, but they really are. They can be helpful. Mm-hmm. They're really good ones. My second question would be, what is a common misconception of freedom, of wisdom? And I'll go first on this one. I believe a common misconception of wisdom is that there is no freedom in wisdom. There absolutely is. Because the wiser you get, the more you see you don't have to always need freedom, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I feel like that phrase that weird, but it's like you won't put yourself in certain situations, and by doing that, it'll open up more situations for you. Right? You don't always have to do everything. You don't always have to prove that you're the best or prove that you're the biggest, baddest, win every conversation. But it's like the more you use the wisdom of, let me not do this, let me not do that, let me start doing this, let me start doing that. It's like later down the line, you'll have more liberation. I was talking to this professor once. He's a doctor in history, I think. Yeah. He was saying that the things you do now affects your kids and your wife and just their kids, their wives. It's like the mistakes you make now will affect them 20 years from now, and the successes you make now will affect them 20 years from now. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Right? I mean, because it's like, you guys can comment on it, but that you really got to think about it. It's like everything I do at this moment in my life is going to affect somebody else.
Yeah. I think a misconception about, wisdom is, I think people think that being wise is not asking for help. Many times, and sometimes, I know our bishop has referenced this before, but it's like sometimes being wise is acknowledging the fact that you really don't know everything.
Right.
Like, why go out in your life and be like, I know everything, I'm confident in this, yada, 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 I don't need to ask anybody for help. That's where a lot of people trip up, and that's why a lot of people fall, because they feel like they know everything, when the truth is, you really don't know everything. And I think that's my main problem with, like, the Gen Z and Gen Z's generation, which I'm a part of, which all of us are in part of, actually. Mm-hmm. But I think that's one of the main, like, why I try to distance myself, especially from that generation, because it's like we're too proud to ask for help. We think we know everything. We think we're all bad and confident or whatever. But it's like, honestly, when it comes to the real problems at hand, are we able to handle the challenges that come our way as a generation? Right. And so I really think that that's really one of the main misconceptions about wisdom.
Yeah. Before I answer the question, I will say that, and this is something that's easy to remember, wisdom is found 222 times in the Bible, so 222. And obviously we know wisdom is talked about a lot in Proverbs.
I thought you said it was only found 2 times in the Bible.
222. 222.
She said freedom.
Freedom. There you go.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that it's obviously talked about a lot in Proverbs. And if you read Proverbs, wisdom isn't something that you can not only, like, you can obtain it, yes, but she speaks for herself. She literally says, I wisdom. Like, there's a scripture, Proverbs 8:11, it says, Proverbs 8:12, it says, I wisdom dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions. Like, wisdom is so, I don't know, like, she's clever. Like, I just, like, you know what I mean? Yes. Like, wisdom isn't something that you could just, get. But it's something you can not only obtain, but something that will, or somebody, right? If we look at it as a she can help us in through our situations. But I'll read a quick definition for wisdom. It is the right use or exercise of knowledge, the choice of laudable ends and of the best means to accomplish them. This is wisdom in act, effect, or practice. So for me, I think a misconception is that wisdom is only for like older people. Like people think that, oh, to be wise, you have to be old. And I don't really believe that. Solomon wasn't that old.
Right.
He had wisdom. There are a lot of people in the Bible who
It wasn't
exercise,
that old.
right? You know what I mean? Like there are people in the Bible who exercise wisdom who were not old. And although older people are a little bit more wiser because they have gone through things, yes, I do believe that. But I also believe that young people as well can exercise wisdom. Kind of like what Taylor was saying, just not of your own accord, but also just going to those who you know have wisdom and are wiser. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. You, like I said earlier, you can. I didn't say this exactly, but with experience comes wisdom. But you can have wisdom without experience. I know that's gonna sound really like shut up. That makes no sense, but no, it kind of. I mean, you because like she said, you can exercise wisdom. Certain things you just don't have to do. You know.
Right.
And that's being wise. Quote I was gonna. I should have just went into it. I shouldn't have said the quote I'm gonna use. I should have just said it and then. Right. Anyways, it's accept the things you can change. Have the courage to change things that you can. Just mess it up. Accept the things that you can't change. Have the courage to change the things that you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. And you really don't have to have experience. You know when you can or can't do something. You know if you can control a situation, and you know if you just simply can't, and you have to just be okay with that. You have to have the wisdom to stop giving all your effort, to stop giving all of that to a lost cause, as people say. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that one of the common misconceptions of wisdom, and I don't know how to phrase this but I feel like a lot of people don't realize that wisdom is a gift. Like there are a lot of people who have experienced things, and like John had said earlier, there's nothing new under the sun. So like there are people who have experienced things and will still make the same mistakes after they experienced it, and they'll make it again and they'll pass it on to their children, and their children will make that same mistake. So it's like wisdom, people don't understand that to be wise, to gain wisdom from experience, not everyone has done that, and not everyone will do that. Like there are still people who have lived a life and will still go the wrong way because they did not pick up on certain things that they should have learned from their mistakes. Like
or other people.
Right. They should have learned from their environment. They've seen people do this. They've seen people go that way, and they still made certain mistakes. So I feel like people they think that wisdom is just, it comes with age, wisdom comes with experience. But there are so many times that people don't understand that wisdom is a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. Dakota said something when she read the definition. It was like, it's not necessarily the knowledge that you have or how much you know, but it's how you use it.
Right.
I think a misconception is just that it's just the knowledge or it's just what you know, and now you're wise. It's like, nah, bro, you gotta.
Right.
It's how you use it, how you use your knowledge. And then another misconception is that people think that wisdom and ignorance don't go hand in hand. Like our bishop always says, the greatest fool in the world is the one who does not know what he does not know.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think you know everything, that automatically implies some level of ignorance. Whereas if you admit that you're ignorant, it automatically implies some amount of wisdom or some amount of knowledge, because you can understand what you don't understand.
Right.
So yeah, those are just two misconceptions I think about wisdom.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. And it's just, we can jump right into the third question, basically. That was a great way to end it. And my third question would be, wow, just lost it that quick.
Yeah.
You saw me, you saw it leave. That was crazy.
It went right past you.
Dear God. Okay, so there you go. So, explain why, and this is a question for everyone, explain why freedom is a great tool, but it has been corrupted by its users. And I could just simply put that in, I'm just going to say it this time, I'm not going to. Freedom. Ooh, I jacked it up.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Really missing today.
No, yeah, exactly. I can't host episodes, guys. Like it's not my thing. Like I'm supposed to be just here, and then that's when things flow better. Man, dear God. But no, the quote is,
There it is.
freedom has cost too much blood, cost too much blood to be relinquished into the hands of the ignorant. And it's like, when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that's it's like things, unfortunately, right, due to this history's past, not even just this, I said this history, this country's past, but other countries, it's like, when you're given too much freedom, right, it's just a horrible thing. Quote from Prophet Philip E. Owens, he said, freedom was the worst thing we could possibly be given. It's because we ourselves cannot handle it. It's a great, amazing tool. Or something. The Lord had the God himself had the freedom to create the entire universe, right? Because when you know how to use it, when you have the wisdom to use your freedom, it can be an amazing tool. But when you're just out here doing stuff just because you can,
Right.
like David said earlier in the episode, it's like I could slap him right now, but he can press charges, and I go away.
Right.
That literally can happen.
Right.
You have to be able to, that's the whole point. Is you have to have the wisdom to use your freedom correctly. Freedom is a great tool.
Honestly, I'll say this. The Lord just dropped this upon me. I don't think that freedom is the problem. I think that choice is the problem.
Oh yeah.
Everybody
yeah.
has freedom,
Yeah.
but it's the choice that you make. So that's
I just like this is random. I'm crying. I feel like I'm bleeding.
Oh,
Keep going. No, yeah. Stop. Maybe her anointing is so powerful. I'm tearing up. It's so weird.
Lord.
I do.
deliverance.
I don't know what's happening.
God is good. But genuinely, like, I just thought about that. I was like, I don't think that freedom is the problem. I think choice is the problem. Like, everybody has a choice to make. Everybody has those decisions, and when you make the wrong one, that's how you corrupt freedom.
Right.
Because you make the wrong choice. You choose to do that thing that you're not supposed to do, and you don't exercise wisdom. So when you make that wrong choice and that wrong decision, you end up corrupting freedom. So that's what I would
I
say.
was literally about to almost say the same thing because I was like,
Literally
well,
about
freedom,
to almost. I love that.
Literally about to
almost about to freedom is kind of like free will to me, almost kind of. And that's something about what God has given us. He's given every single individual free will. If he all just created us robotically to just automatically worship him, it's different. But God gave us free will so that we can honestly be willing to make the choices to serve him.
Right.
And I think that really shows out our heart. And like what Dakota was saying, like, because we have that free will and because we make the wrong choices, that's what's corrupting the world.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
Because like when you think about like Adam and Eve, like Adam had free will. He had freedom for a good portion of time. Yeah. Eve also had the freedom, but they made a choice. They made the wrong choice in their freedom. I think it's the fact that when we're given freedom, we don't use the wisdom with it. We don't put the two together. We always think like, oh, for me to be free, that means that I'm not using my conscience. I'm doing whatever I want to do. I'm just get to live my life however I see fit. But it takes real wisdom to know that your freedom is a gift from God. Free will is a gift from God. We always talk about, God's will versus free will, but it's like, at some point you realize that they're supposed to go together. You're not supposed to be setting them apart. You're not supposed to do whatever you want because you're given the option to. You're supposed to follow God's will because you want to. That's the entire point of being a Christian. That's the entire point of why he made us. He didn't want us to be like animals who just serve him, because that's all they know. But he wanted us to choose him. So as Christians, as people in general, we're supposed to choose God as wisdom. That is our wisdom, is the fact that in everyday life, we choose him more. So.
Let me tell you something. Experience is not always the best teacher.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a major misconception because most people don't realize that people don't come back from experience. Like someone could take drugs, person A could take drugs, they be fine, come back. Person B could take drugs, and then they in the what do they call it? The
ICU.
Hospital, the
ICU.
ICU, all those things. So experience is not always the best teacher.
She's the cruelest teacher.
Yeah,
she gives you the
because
test
it can literally
first, then the
cost
lesson.
Your life.
Right.
But if you literally learn from somebody, like I think our bishop said this. He said, "Don't remove the old landmark."
Right.
Meaning that you've seen what David did in the Bible with Bathsheba. You've seen what Samson did.
Right.
It was all by the same tribe. You've seen what Solomon did. Like, don't remove the old landmark because it's the same old trap.
Right. And one thing, where you gonna go?
I was just gonna say something really quick before.
David still hasn't answered.
Oh, answered what? Oh,
question.
the question. David,
You
where
said
you
answered
been?
what? Where have you been?
No. It wasn't even me. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say really quick that when Vinny was talking, it made me laugh because at the start of the episode, I mean, our whole theme was freedom versus wisdom, but now we're looking at it as freedom and wisdom, like they have to be paired together.
Right.
Yeah,
You can't take
Whoa,
one
yeah.
without the other. So
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Bible says in Proverbs 15:22, without counsel, purposes are disappointed. Right, so if you have freedom, no wisdom, it's not gonna work. Like that was, what was that? Like I kind of in Noah's time, even though Noah was preaching, like they didn't necessarily have a law. All the jokers drown.
Right.
Right. Like,
Right.
like without
The
counsel.
Bible says
purpose.
every thought out of man's mind was wicked.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
That is wow.
And then the other thing, somebody was talking about free will and freedom. Like, if it wasn't free will, it wouldn't be genuine. Like, nothing that's forced is genuine.
Right.
Yep.
So it has to, like, that's why he gave you freedom, but in the same token, he gave you wisdom so that it could balance each other out. Like, who just said that? Somebody just said that. Dakota just said that. But you have to have them both.
All I was gonna. Dang, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? What were we talking about?
we have no idea.
What did you?
Wow.
What? No, I'm saying, but what did Taylor say? I was.
Experience.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what I was gonna say was, when you realize it, like, I feel like you can really see the type of people who like take other people's experiences and still live like that. Like, I feel like it's a certain type of people pleasing people to see people to see someone do wrong and then to still be like, yeah, but that's my girl, you know.
It's the fact that
Like-
both of you said it. Oh my god. Who y'all been people pleasing too?
No, so it's like, I'm gonna use Taylor's same analogy. Like, if person A and B were both best friends, and person B seeing person A take drugs, and they like, I mean, I don't do no peer pressure, but that's my
But
girl,
my
and I don't want her to be in this alone.
Right.
What?
Girl,
The mindset that it takes.
No, for real.
Like, the mindset that it takes to literally want to please others even though you know it's wrong. Like,
Right. Ooh, that's
and
peer
like,
pressure.
we've all had, well, not all of us, but you know, we go through situations where we want to fit in, or we want people to understand us or see us so bad that we will make the wrong choice. That, and you know with your wisdom, you like, this is kind of dumb, but it's the fact that you know people will like you if you do it, or this and this and that. But it's like, at some point you got to use the wisdom, the conscience that the Lord has given you, and be like, it's a no
y'all
for me,
don't
love.
be thinking, y'all just be
Yeah.
doing it. What is the
Freedom
the
does allow
saying?
peer
Think
pressure.
before
Right.
you
It
do.
really does.
Freedom will give
Before
you
you
some
speak.
good
Right.
peer pressure.
Wow, guys. Well, this was a great episode, and I mean, if I was to end it off on anything, it's something that Taylor said earlier about free will. I can't remember the name of the guy in history, but there was a king in history that forced all his people to believe in pagan religions, strictly Father God Almighty, all the
No, keep going.
he made them believe in that, and that's where the problem was, because it was all, like David said, because it was all forced, it wasn't genuine, and that's where real freedom comes in. Lord wants you to have the freedom to love Him, the freedom to serve Him. It's not, because if it was just rules and rhetoric, it's like, oh, we're doing this because that's what we were told. You know, He wants you to. Because I mean, I know honestly, Taylor said it earlier. You could really just. Lord could be like, nope, everyone has to serve me, and that's just it. That's
Right.
He created the universe in 7 days. He can really control 8 billion people and tell them what to do. Exactly. So if he really wanted to, he really could. But he's like, nah, I'm giving them the freedom to love me, because if they're not gonna love me by their own free will,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yes, guys, that is the end of this episode. I don't end off episodes. That is one of the co-host jobs. So whoever does that, go do your thing.
Thank you all for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed the episode on wisdom and freedom. As always, please stay safe, be wise, don't have too much freedom.
I knew he was gonna say something corny about the episode.
All right, be safe, and as always, we will
Catch
You later.